This is a painting I named Icicles, so called because of the tree limbs sitting on the shoreline were partially encased with icicles from the recent winter storm. You can see here as I block in, I'm using another gray primed canvas as a neutral color. I'm working on my third painting right now, still using a gray. Maybe the last one. I don't see an advantage. It's neutral. It might help you get your initial tones in the block in, but that's what the block is for as well. You block it in, all your colors are there. Shades will probably not be accurate, but as you start to layer in your oil, you refine those shades. So I really don't see any advantage to the gray canvas, but I have at least one more to complete. I made several up at the time. As you can see here, I'm blocking the sky. I usually work from the furthest point and work forward, but I don't like to waste color, so the sky, once it's finished, whatever color's left gets adjusted. It becomes the grays in the picture, even the near black, the dark blue. I just add pigment to that initial pile and I readjust it until I get to some extreme shade where that's not going to work. The trees in the background there were pretty much burnt umber and ultramarine blue. The trees to the right were a little further away, so I added a touch more ultramarine to the mixture and a little bit of white. At this point, starting to fine-tune the edges of the background trees. There's some pines right in the center, and then the rest are fall trees, no leaves. And there's quite a few trees in this picture. And when I block in, I only block in the portion of the tree that's more or less 90% coverage. And then I'll add the rest of the tree leaves or tips of the pines to it as I work along into the painting. You can see that right now. I'm softening those edges by adding little tree branches and the suggestion of just little small tiny branches and maybe some leftover leaves in those trees. And right in here, I'm beginning to add, breaking up the solid mass of trees because there is sky showing through those masses. The trees themselves, where there's bare trees, they catch the sunlight, they give a suggestion of a burnt sienna type color, burnt umber mixture. And so I softly put those into those distant trees. Same with the evergreens, they reflect sunlight, so they go from a dark green on one side to an almost yellow on the right side. And in this area, I'm working on the shoreline. The furthest area where the sun is hitting that shoreline, and the snow is a Titan white with a touch of yellow ochre. And the closest area that's in shadow, it's a Titan white with some ultramarine blue in it and a touch of burnt umber just to tone that ultramarine down, which will give you it's still a bluish tint. If you add too much burnt umber, you'll go to gray or to a brown tone. You can counteract that though by adding more ultramarine and white. I would try to avoid that. You generate a lot of excess color. Now the water here, the initial buildup of color is add the shadows in. At this point it's fairly solid. I added in little dark waves. There's actually stones there and the water's running over it, so create a dark kind of wave. You'll see soon in the video as I build up the water, I start with a dagger brush to rough in the larger wavy patterns of the water, and I use a pointed round as well. And for the finer details on the water, I use a liner brush, actually 2 sizes. When I get to adding the highlight to the water where the sun sparkles off of it, I'll be using white, touch of yellow ochre tint that I used in the snow again for the highlights where the water is in the sunlight. Where it's shaded because of the shadows of the trees, I'll be using a white with just a little touch of ultramarine blue to tone that down, blowing it, shade it up a bit so that it reflects the fact that it's in the shadow of a tree. Otherwise, if you're putting the same snow you used in the sunlight area into the shadows, it's just not going to look right to the eye. For some of the sparkling close up to the right side, I actually took a very stiff ragged brush that I had, dipped it in the white, and then I took my finger and I just ran it through the brush and let the paint kind of spray across the surface of the water. It saved a lot of time from using a liner brush, and it looks more natural because it's very random. I'm adding my final highlights on the right side of the canvas, including the water. And in a minute I'll begin work on the left side, adding all the details. There was quite a bit of debris. It was a rocky shoreline, and including the left side was varied. Closest areas in sunlight, further away down the shade, back into sunlight. So I had to vary the shades of the rocks, branches, and dirt and snow all along the area, but made for an interesting effect. And here you see me adding little bits of snow to those tree limbs. I'm beginning to work on the icicles that are hanging in that area. Wasn't a huge amount, but caught my eye, and I like the picture, the fact that there's ice all over this side. Hence the name Icicles for the picture. The name focused on just that small area. Well, this picture is close to the end, and I want to thank you for watching. Give me a like and subscribe if you'd like to. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.